Gone to See the Riverman by Kristopher Triana, published by Grindhouse Press, 2020. Superfans, groupies, stalkers. These people will give anything for the idols they worship, be they rock stars, actors, or authors, or even serial killers. Lori's obsession is with Edmund Cox, who was convicted of butchering more than 20 women. She will do anything to get close to him, so when he gives her a task, she accepts. She has no idea of the horror that awaits her. Edmund says she must go to his cabin in the woods and retrieve a key to deliver to a mysterious figure known only as the Riverman. She brings along her sister, and the trip becomes a surreal nightmare, one that digs up Lori's personal demons, the one she feels bonds her to Edmund. Soon she will learn the Riverman is not quite fact or folklore, and definitely not human. At least, not anymore. I picked up Gone to See the Riverman after hearing the story discussed by booktubers Nemiria and Cliff's Dark Gems. Both of those channels focus on darker fiction, and I always take their recommendations deep to heart. After hearing both of them mention Gone to See the Riverman, I had to see what all the hype was about. I will admit, the story wasn't much like I expected, and in all the best ways possible. The premise of the story follows Lori and her obsession and correspondences with a serial killer, Edmund. Lori claims that she is interested in the stories and the acts of Edmund and not the man himself. But the truth of that really begins to blur as the story progresses. Anyway, after multiple letters and visitations, Lori seems to gain the killer's trust, and he starts to confide more and more in her, ultimately leading him to ask for a favor. He sends her on a quest of sorts. All she needs to do is visit his old shack hidden deep within the woods, retrieve a key, and deliver it to someone only referred to as the Riverman. Seems easy enough, right? Yeah, me too. Knowing the quest comes from a prolific serial killer sets off red flag on top of red flag. Lori's obsession, though, makes her jump at the opportunity. First off, she gets to see the inside of his remote hideout, on top of gaining more trust from Edmund, so she accepts. The first stumbling block is life forces her to take along her sister, Abby. At our first introduction, we see that Abby is handicapped, both physically and mentally, so readers know this isn't going to be a good thing. This is the dynamic that really grabbed me. Even as a side character, Abby pretty much steals the show for me. Abby was written extremely well, and was a character that immediately grabbed my attention. There are flashback scenes to their childhood, a time before the accident that impacted Abby. Yes, as a reader, you get to find out what happened, and it's a wonderful build-up that has you on the edge of your seat wanting to know what happened. Just be careful what you wish for. Let's just leave it at that. Which leads us to our main character, Lori. Lori starts out pretty much as a normal character. Well, a normal character that has a hobby of corresponding with serial killers. Even such, her current life situations makes her hobby believable to the reader. The story then spins a traumatic, emotionally dark and damaged character page by page, leading the reader to find out the hows and whys behind this interest, and ultimately leaves you shocked, disgusted, angry, take your pick. The Riverman himself is a long-lasting folklore in the area, and the focus of the story for the most part is the dynamic between Lori and Abby, and the life events that lead them to where they are today. And when it seems things can't get any more dark and disturbing, well, they actually find the Riverman. Up until that point, it's a wonderful, gripping story, hands down. The last third or so of the book is where things go up in the air. Let's try to discuss this without spoilers. To me, I'd equate the story to the likes of the imagination of Clive Barker or Rob Zombie. And you know how that goes. It's either a direct bullseye or completely misses the mark. For me personally, I thoroughly enjoyed the entirety of this book. I was forced to the edge of my seat, flipping page after page, then forced to shift gears and go, what the hell is happening? For anyone that is a Clive Barker fan, I would think you would really enjoy this story. Picture Barker's imagination set in a rural mountain folklore type setting, if you can. With the physical and emotional trauma of the story, it should come with trigger warnings galore, so if you need those type of warnings, search them out before jumping into this book. It'll probably spoil things for you though. I don't really see where true horror fans would need trigger warnings though, so for a hardcore fan of horror, going into this story blind as possible will heighten the ride for you. All in all, I give this one a 5-star rating. Lots of gore, in-depth psychological discoveries, emotional trauma, dark supernatural aspects, a folk legend type feel. This story delivers all of that and more. I highly recommend it to horror lovers, as well as the channels mentioned earlier from Nymeria and Cliff's Dark Gems. I'm sure there will be more reads appear on this channel that were recommended from them and other booktubers alike, and I'll make a point to give credit when a book I love comes from other channels. That's all for now. It's on to the next read, and I suggest you do the same. Until next time, find yourself a good book and enjoy a break from reality.